Well, the biggest beauty pageant event, Miss South Africa, which is a powerful organization that empowers young females, has started opening its entries for the year 2020, but with a few changes on how the pageant will go amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to get more information on this, and we're joined via Skype by Miss South Africa CEO, Stephanie Weil. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SA Today on SABC News.
Thank you so much, Flo. Thank you for having me.
Just as a start, I mean, no doubt that, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all pageants around the world quite significantly. However, you're still continuing with the competition. Take us through, how it will run this year. I mean, we've seen some contestants, I suppose people who want to be finalists, posting pictures of themselves and so forth on social media. How will the selection be done, particularly of the winner? I mean, we're so used to seeing that gala evening where, contestants go on a stage and so forth. How will things be made different this year? So,
thanks, Flo, for the question. The challenge around the pandemic is quite large, as we know. Our biggest priority right now is to ensure the safety of the contestants and also ensure that we can still put on a pageant, because we believe that Miss South Africa inspires hope. And it's an aspirational brand, and we feel that during this time we need something to look forward to. So we've taken the approach, which we did last year already, to do online entries, which has worked really well for us in the past. And we hope that it will do so this year too. It has done so far. We've received over 700 entries, which is really exciting for us as the organization. And I look forward to receiving even more in the next couple of weeks. From this stage onwards, what we'll do is once all the entries have been received, which will close on the evening of the 31st of May, we'll then go into a online adjudication with the judges who will be announced, and virtual auditions, really, which is going to be interesting and different for all of us, including the judges, the girls, the organization alike. And from there, then we have our plans to ensure that we have a really exciting, content-heavy pageant in a very different format, unfortunately with no audience. I wish I could tell you a little bit more around that, but not just yet am I ready to release exactly how we're going to be doing it. Yeah. But it is going to be really exciting and a great show, filled with what you're used to, from high fashion to great entertainment, and obviously our wonderful contestants.
Yeah, take us through your vetting process of contestants, in terms of how you do background checks. And just to play open cards, obviously you would have seen the uproar, I assume, on social media about who we believe was a contestant or someone who had indeed applied to take part in the competition, Bianca Skumbi. There was a lot of uproar about, her social media past and, some sort of background that, somebody posted on social media. And of course, we got the news that she has now decided to step down. Maybe just if you could take us through, for our viewers, so they understand what exactly goes through the vetting process, because then, one would then would not want to think that in the past we might have had a Miss South Africa who might have been guilty of these sort of, transgressions, and maybe that was, maybe overlooked before. So what is that process? Can you guide us through it?
Yeah, so I think the important thing to note is that at the moment we just have entrants. Nobody's made it to any next level. Anybody can enter at this point as long as the criteria are met, and even if criteria aren't met, we will then sift through them, and that will be based on age and certain requirements. And obviously from a vetting perspective, we work with different companies, private investigators to look at not only a social media history, because that is really important, and we actually do a workshop with our contestants, which focuses on how anything on social media lives forever. Yeah. We have had cases where we've gotten through to a point where we have a top 40 and we do our deep dive based on a 40 or 50 contestants. We then go through that, and that's a really important part of our vetting process. And girls have been eliminated for a lot less than what's happened over the last week.
Yeah.
So we're very aware of it. We always have been. You know, as I said earlier in the week, contractually, girls cannot bring the organization into disrepute by using slander, racism, or any other, tone of voice. They won't even be considered if that's the case. So for us, it's a very transparent situation. The girls understand we do this, and I'm happy that the public gets to see that we do really vet our contestants.
Yeah. You know, some people have said that some of the rules regarding, entering Miss South Africa may be a bit backward. And I wonder if, as a pageant, if you're looking into this. I mean, I was on social media yesterday just sort of getting a feel of what this conversation should really center around. And there were a lot of young women who were saying, we hate the fact that, if we're married or, we have children, that, we can't enter the competition, but we really do have the qualities of a Miss South Africa. I mean, how would you respond to something like that? I mean, some of the rules have been quite strict. We know that there was also at some point a hair issue, and we're so happy that that has been sort of sorted out now, and we had a lovely Miss South Africa last year. But what about some of those really strict rules that some might be saying to you, listen, Miss South Africa, that might be a bit outdated?
No, absolutely. And we've tried to change a lot, especially over the last year, from changing the age acceptance rate, pushing it even higher this year.
Yeah.
Girls can be between the ages of 20 and 28, as well as, allowing from transgender contestants, as well as engaged contestants, tattoos, all those old mentality, that old school thought has changed quite a lot over the years. Yeah. However, our biggest issue is that because as South Africa and Miss South Africa, we subscribe to international licenses and therefore international standards. So often in situations we are we follow the regulations and rules also set out by international pageants. So as much as we want to change and we try and push the limits always, we have to adhere to some sort of standing.
Yeah.
And with regard to children, it's one that's come up over the years, and it's a really important one because I think the one thing that needs to be understood is that Miss South Africa is a 24/7, 365-day job. It's a job. Yeah. And having to worry about wearing the country across your chest and being ambassador not only globally but locally too, we would never want to take a mother away from her child.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of where that comes from, and I know it comes from international places as well. Yeah. But for the most part, that we have really moved and pushed boundaries. I think we'd probably be the most advanced from a pageant perspective. Just from a pageantry perspective in general, this year we are the first to announce that we will still be going ahead with our pageant. It will make us the first in the world to do a pageant during the pandemic, which is really exciting. And I think that gives us a lot of, kudos as South Africa. And as we know, we've had the beautiful Zozibini Tunzi carry our flag so high over the last couple of months as universe. And I think that we are pushing boundaries all the time. So as much as we can push, we will push.
All right. Maybe we can talk about the height issue, that's what disqualified me before. But you know what? Thank you so very much for giving us your time here on SABC News. We do appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie.